Welcome back, Queen Osette here. I am so glad to have new subscribers and welcome back my old subscribers. And let's do something a little bit different moving forward for the next few days. I just celebrated my birthday a week ago and I just wanted to do something that was a bit more fun with a bit of levity and such. You know, the world around us is filled with so much ugliness, and the tubiverse is filled with so much ugliness and angst and hatred and clique. And I just don't want to participate in any of that. Unfortunately, with all the goings on, it has taken away some of my joy and my love of the tarot. So what I decided I was going to do is something a little bit different to reconnect to what the purpose of the tarot is. Yes, I know. Many of us use it for going deep within and trying to figure out who we are. And in doing so, we miss the fact that sometimes tarot has a wicked sense of humor. And so what I've decided to do is use this voice that I have received many compliments on. I mean, you guys hear something that maybe I don't hear. I think it's okay. I decided to use it now. I know when I hit about 80, I'm going to set up a sex line, 1-900-SEX-ME-UP. That number's taken. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to use it for a bit of storytelling. So, remember, many of you may not even remember. If I have some older subscribers, remember the times when the world was in upheaval and we didn't have television and we didn't have CNN and Fox 45 and all of that stuff. You still have propaganda, but there were times in the day where the family would gather around the radio that was located in the living room, and you would listen to stories being told. I mean, H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds was one of the most prominent, unforgettable sort of radio broadcasts. I'm not going to do anything to that magnitude, but still, it's kind of nice, I think, for us to just tune off, tune out, turn off the social media, the things that we feel that we have to tap into, to connect to, belong to, and just sit back and listen to a story. This is, I think, maybe a little better. I don't know. I've never listened to an audiobook, but I just wanted to do something different with some levity, and yes, it does involve tarot. So, without further ado, the story that I'm going to tell you is a tarot mystery. So you might want to grab yourself a cup of something or a glass of something, some biscuits, put your feet up, relax, and just sink into the story with me. Now, I'm not going to reveal the name of the book just yet. I hope that my voice comes across clearly, but you can see that I have a spread laid out. And that's because the book has spreads to help solve the mystery. So, let's see here. On the back of the book it says, much to Alanis McLaughlin's surprise, her strange con woman mother has left her an inheritance, the White Magic 5 and Dime, a shop in tiny Bardacci. And that's how I'm going to pronounce it as I continue to read. Bardacci, Arizona. Reluctantly traveling to Bardacci to claim her new property, Alanis decides to stay and pick up her mother's tarot business in an attempt to find out how she died. With help from a hunky cop and her mother's living teenager apprentice, Alanis begins faking her way through bogus tarot readings in order to win the confidence of her mother's clients. But the more she uses the tarot deck, the more Alanis begins to find real meaning in the cards and the secrets surrounding her mother's demise. Intrigued? Maybe some of you have read this book already, but I found that I came across it the other day, and I just wanted to share with you guys. I wanted to do something different, as I said. So, Get your pen and paper. Those of you who are Tarot students, you might actually learn a little something. I did. So we open up chapter 1 with the Fool. And it says here, with his pack over his shoulder, his head held high, the Fool boldly begins his spiritual journey. But watch out for that first step, Fool. It's a doozy. And that comes from Miss Chant's Infinite Roads to Knowing. The phone rang, and I answered it. I know, pigeon move, right? You look at the caller ID and it says something like Valuetech LLC or Luxury Living, or in this case, Wheeler and Associates, and you know what that means. Or I do, anyway. Because usually I'm the one on the other end of the line, and I only need a few minutes of your time to discuss an exciting opportunity that could radically alter your financial outlook. But it's a limited time offer, and you'll have to act now. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was professional courtesy. One call sent a phone monkey to another. Maybe I was just in what the hell mood, and that wasn't uncommon. Anyway, I picked up. Hello? Alanis McLaughlin, a man said. I pulled a Coke from the fridge and briefly considered leaving the phone in its place. Let the guy try to sell his timeshares or hot stocks to my leftover pizza and moldy tofu dogs. Yes, I popped open the can and took a drink. Also known as Sophie Harper, the old training paid off. Never let them see you sweat, Beetle used to say, and never let them hear you spit take Coke all over your kitchen. I managed to swallow. Yes, that's me too. I'm calling about Athena Pasalis, also known as Barbara Harper. The first name I've never heard of before. The second made me grit my teeth. Does she want money, I asked, or is she dead? I knew it had to be one or the other. Either she needs something from me, or she'd never need anything again. Oh, actually, the man stammered. That answered my question. Athena Pasalis, a.k.a. Barbara Harper, a.k.a. Mom, had finally done the one and only thing she ever could or would do to make the world a better place. She left it. I let that sink in a moment. Then I asked the first question that came to mind. Who killed her? What else are you going to say when you found out someone like my mother was dead? Was it hepatitis she picked up in the Peace Corps? No. I told her donating a kidney to a stranger was crazy. No. I can't believe she went back into that burning building for a cat. No. The man on the phone gave me another, actually, then, the police don't know. Of course they don't, I could have said. Whoever finally got my mom was going to be smart. What happened, I said instead. So the guy told me the details. There weren't many to tell. Apparently a case of burglarious interruptus. You know the old story. Innocent citizen finds herself in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just a tragic stroke of bad luck. Yeah, right. I'm very sorry, the man said. I'm sure all this comes as a great shock. I said. The guy's name was Eugene Wheeler, and he was an attorney, and he did manage to give me a great shock eventually. He told me Barbara had a will, and I was in it. When we were done talking, I hung up and walked to the kitchen table and took a seat. My mother was dead. My mother was dead. My mother was dead. I even said it out loud. My mother was dead. I waited for the tears to come. All I could manage was a sigh. I didn't owe the woman more tears anyway. She had plenty from me already. There was a debt, though, one I hadn't been sure I'd ever see or ever repay, but now perhaps I could. I owed my mother justice. I called my boss. I'll be out the rest of the week. My mom died. You have a mom? Biologically, yeah. But wait, didn't your mom die 2 years ago? That was my I'm going to Hawaii mother. This is my real mother. You lied about that? Want to fire me? My boss thought it over. You have till the 12th. That's it. No horse shit about a dead father. I don't have a father, I said. My mother carved me out of wood. I went to Bardacci, which is easier said than done. When you find out you're going there, certain questions arise. What the hell is Bardacci? Answer, a town you never heard of. Where the hell is Bardacci? Answer, Yavapai County, Arizona, if that helps. How the hell do I get to Bardacci? Answer, fly to Phoenix, drive up to Sedonia, keep driving into the craggy, scrub-crusted desert until you're thinking, really? People actually live out here? Stop when you see the buildings. And last but not least, why the hell am I going to Bardacci? Answer, it's complicated. A longer answer. In the Rocky Hills around Sedona, there are vortexes of powerful psychic energy, they say. Of course, they want to take you on tours and sell you maps and books and crystals and guide you through ancient Indian ceremonies that will purge you of bad juju and excess cash. Apparently there are vortices around Bardacci too, but they aren't as powerful. You can tell because the signs for them are smaller and their psychic energy is only strong enough to support half a dozen occult bookstores and New Age trinket shops. One of these stores is the White Magic Five and Dime. According to Eugene Wheeler, it belonged to me. My mother had died inside of it. Eugene looked like a Eugene. He had small-town Anchorman helmet hair and a gray mustache and a layer of belly blubber that bubbled up over his chinos like lava. He was wearing a corduroy jacket and a powder blue Oxford shirt and a red and yellow striped tie with a knot as big as my fist. I got the feeling he looked and dressed like this since he was 8, mustache included. Maybe if his parents had called him Rocco, he would have turned out differently. But they made him a Eugene, and that's destiny. There's a reason some people don't name their kids Eugene anymore. This particular Eugene had a small storefront office on Bardacci's main drag. Wheeler and Associates read the sign out front, but the associates were either on vacation or imaginary. Eugene couldn't work up much enthusiasm back up, I need a drink. Eugene couldn't work up much enthusiasm when I walked in and introduced myself. On the phone, he played up the advantages of monetizing my new assets, selling them, in other words, with a percentage of the revenue going to the executor, of course, him. But no, instead, I'd come to look everything over before deciding what to do. Some people hate it when you do that. Con men, for instance. And your average, everyday, ordinary businessman, which is what Eugene Wheeler looked like. Sign here, he said, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. Now sign this and initial this, and don't forget to date that, and would you mind giving me a blood sample? It took 2 hours, mostly, because I always read everything. I always read everything I sign. Always. Everything. I don't put my name on a Christmas card until I've double-checked the fine print on the back. Sorry this is taking so long, I said. Eugene tried to smile. No problem. You're doing exactly what I tell all my clients to do. The difference being they never actually do it. I went back to reading. With every here, and there had been signed and dated and sprinkled with holy water, I was the proud owner of not just the White Magic Five and Dime, but the apartment above it and the black Cadillac behind it, and the $45,246.79 in the bank up the road. I could go back to my crappy Chicagoland one-bedroom richer than I'd ever been in my life. But I wasn't done in Bardacci just yet. There was one more bit of business to attend to, and I couldn't clear up by simply signing on the dotted line. Anything new on my mother's murder, I asked. Eugene winced. He still had been trying to slide by with references to her passing, so much less murdery. No, not that I've heard, he said. I'm sure our police department's #1 priority, though, is finding out who killed your mother. A nice, respectable lady attacked in her place of business. That's thrown quite a fright into people, as I'm sure you can imagine. A nice, respectable lady? I studied Eugene's face for a trace of sarcasm. I didn't find any. How well did you know my mother? I asked. Not very. I mean, I knew her, of course. There were only 5,000 people in Bardacci. I know everyone. But, he shrugged, some better than others. So you never did business with her? No, not until 3 weeks ago. That's when she came to see me about a will. Did she say why she suddenly wanted one? Oh, she gave me the usual reasons, reaching a certain age, wanting to be sure her affairs were in order. But you know, you're never too young to have a will drawn up. That's something everyone should do, especially if you've got property or a lot of money in the bank to think about. I think you're probably right, Eugene smiled. That's why I've had a will since I was 19, I went on. Everything goes to my cats. Eugene kept smiling, but his eyes weren't in it anymore. It was a lie, though. I don't have a will. I operate on the assumption that I'm going to live forever, and I haven't been proven wrong yet. I don't have any cats either. They remind me too much of my mother. Beautiful, finicky, aloof, and you're the one who always has to clean up their crap. Did my mom give you my phone number, or did you have to track it down yourself? I asked. She gave it to me, of course. I wouldn't let a client designate an heir without current contact information. Did she say how she got it? Got your phone number? Eugene furrowed his brow, but the hair patty just above it didn't move an inch. It looked like a gray beret taped to the top of his head. I haven't spoken to my mother in 20 years, I said, and the last time I saw her, I had a different name. I see. I'm sorry. No, she didn't say how she found you. It doesn't matter. She was always good at getting information when she wanted it. I stood up and thanked Eugene for his time. Guess I'll go take a look at the new place. I'm afraid we're not quite done yet. There's something else we need to discuss. Yeah? Your mother. What about her? You need to decide what's to be done. What's to be... Oh, you mean with her? Eugene nodded. The body's at the county morgue. Once the medical examiner finalizes his report, they'll release the body to you. You should know what your plans are. It was right there in the will. She wants to be cremated. Yes, but where? What kind of service would you like? What kind of urn? What kind of marker? I know it's overwhelming, especially at an emotional time like this, but you have a lot of decisions to make. Alanis. I'd be happy to make all of the arrangements for you if you'd like. Who says chivalry is dead? And I'm sure he'd only charge me $95 an hour instead of his usual 100. That's awful sweet of you, Eugene, but it doesn't have to be that complicated, I told him. Where do you go around here to pick up some charcoal briquettes? I was standing across the street from the place where my mother had died, a place I now owned, and I had two thoughts in my head. Number one, what happened here? Number two, wow, Mom, tacky. I was looking at a dingy white two-story building between mom and pop hardware stores and a mom and pop psychic massage studio. Everything in Bardacci looked mom and pop, or maybe mom and mom or pop and pop. You could never tell with the new agey types. A neon open sign hung in the big picture window facing off the street. Of course. Around it, painted on the glass, were tarot cards and a crystal ball and assorted signs of the zodiac. Leo the lion, Cancer the crab, and Alvin the chipmunk, or whoever. And there were these words. The white magic 5 and dime. Divination, revelation, bargains. For obvious reasons, Mom had left off her true stock in trade. Lies. I'd come a long way for this, to see for myself who my mother had become and what had become of her. All I had to do was step off the curb and walk across the street and use the keys Eugene had given me. Yet now, with only 50 feet to go, I found myself frozen, unable to move forward. Why was I really here? Did I truly think I could bring my mother justice? Did someone like her even deserve it? Anyone? Anyone? I turned my back to the road. Directly across the street from the white magic 5 and dime was its mirror image. House of Arcana. Or House of Arcana, it was called. Inside I could see books, candles, incense, cards, crystals, bullshit, horseshit, and crap, and a woman looking back at me from behind the counter. She had frizzy gray hair and a macrame shawl wrapped around her shoulders. and a welcoming smile on her placid face. Her baggy yellow frock looked something Obi-Wan Kenobi would wear, and I got the feeling it was either woven from hemp or meant to look like it was. "Hello, Earth Mother." The only things missing were the flowers in her hair and the smell of patchouli. I waited for her to stop belting out Aquarius. She just kept smiling. Fine. Maybe my mother wasn't around to explain her last scam, but she wasn't the only one running it. I went inside. The woman's name was Josette, and she was good. She projected all the right vibes: warmth, curiosity, a touch of disarming ditziness, while sifting and stifling the sounds of gears turning in her head. She kept smiling as she sized me up, no doubt thinking, stranger in her mid-30s, alone, casual clothes, no jewelry, no makeup, no manicure, short supercuts hair radiating bemusement and amusement, but underneath, confused. I knew that's how she saw me because that's how I would have seen myself. Every con artist of every kind knows how to cold read a mark. I've been doing it since I could read a book, and I was good at it. Mom and Biddle made sure of that. Of course, every con artist knows how to hide vulnerability too, but I wanted mine to show. It's good bait. I poked around for a few minutes, answering the woman's carefully bland questions. In from out of town? Been out this way before? While pretending to take an interest in her rune stones and anointing oils and plastic wrap spell kits. It took her 5 minutes to get to the pitch. "I have a feeling," she said, "that you've come here with questions." "Wow, how did you know?" I expected to hear that her spirit guides had told her. Or maybe it was my troubled aura. "You were staring at the store across the street for a long time," she said instead. "It looked like you were trying to work up the nerve to go in." The lady wasn't just good, she was very good. Short con or long, it has to start with trust. And what better way to begin building that than with a little dribble of truth, just enough to clear away and make a way for the snake oil. I said. "Thought so. I'm afraid the white magic 5 and dime isn't open anymore." Josette's smile grew a little wider. "But I do readings too." "So, the 5 and dime went out of business?" I said as I shuffled the cards Josette had handed me. We were at a table in a curtained-off nook at the back of the store. Before sitting down, Josette had locked the front door and hung up a sign that said, "Back in 5 minutes." Rather, back in 15 minutes. "So we wouldn't be disturbed," she said, but I figured it had more to do with the sticky-fingered tourists who might wander in and help themselves to handfuls of healing crystals and pentagram pendants. "Focus on your question," Josette said. "What is it you'd like to ask the cards?" What the hell was my mother up doing around here, I thought. "How do I become a happier, healthier person?" I said. Josette held out a hand. "Good. Now give me the deck." I handed it over. I'd paid in advance, naturally, for a 7-card reading. And this, dear viewers, is what I have laid down. I didn't feel like shelling out $30 for the standard 10-card reading, when with 3 cards and $5 less, I can get the same old crock. Josette laid out the cards like this. "Looks like an airplane." Josette seemed pleased with herself. "It's a spread of my own. I call it the weather vane. It's good for showing which way the wind's blowing." "You can just make up a spread yourself?" "You can do anything with a tarot." Josette reached out and touched the card at the center of the crisscrossing rows of 3, in the middle of the airplane. And she asked, "Are you ready?" I nodded. "All right then, let's begin." "Ah," Josette said as she turned over the first card. "This card is your present, your current situation. And we've got the 2 of Swords. A sword is an instrument of war, of conflict. but it can also bring liberation. It cuts through the things that binds us. The woman here has two swords, but look, she's not using them. She's just holding them over her chest, blocking her heart. She thinks she doesn't need her emotions and her instincts, but that's blinded her. She truly can't see herself or her situation, so she's paralyzed, stuck. Moving up to the next card, we can see what's in the conscious mind. More swords. Only the swords on the 6 here aren't being used as weapons. They're going with someone on a voyage. Does that boat remind you of anything? The boatman? The dead being ferried across the river Styx, maybe? Perhaps someone close to you has died, though it doesn't have to be that. It could refer to any important life passage. A painful time is being put behind you. You're continuing on to someplace new, but the pain goes with you. Moving down, now we're going to see what's in your subconscious. Swords again! The 8. In this card, the swords form a wall, a pen, a prison. But see that gap? The wall's incomplete. She could walk away any time. Yet she doesn't, because she can't see the way out. Swords is a suit of intellect of the mind. Here, that's a trap, though. This woman, she's imprisoned by the things she thinks she knows. Going back now, we look at the past. Interesting. The Queen of Wands. Wands is the suit of energy, will, ambition, action. But the Queen's reverse. So what we have is a strong, intelligent, creative woman who's turned herself to unproductive pursuits. She's a powerful influence, but not a good one. Whoever this is, she's a bit of a, well, moving forward, we step into the future. And what do we have here? Oh, lovely, the 2 of Cups. Some people call them chalices, but I like cups. More down to earth, don't you think? Anywho, cups is the suit of love. That can be all kinds of love, of course. But would you just look at that couple there? Aren't they adorable? I think you might have something special to look forward to. Someone special. Now in the last row, hopefully we'll find a little guidance for you. Going up, we have the energies that you should be trying to harness. And what we find is, well, the Fool. Now don't get the wrong idea about him. The Fool's actually someone we should respect. He's brave. He trusts his impulses enough to take what looks like a dangerous step. He could be going right off that cliff, but at least he's taken the first step towards something. Don't give in to fear is the message here. Do something. And finally, moving down, we'll see what energies you should avoid. The 4 of Pentacles. I see 2 possible meanings here. First, the obvious. Here's someone who's clinging to something, a big coin. That could be money, or it could be material things, or it could be belief in material things, and material things only. A rejection of the spiritual side of life. Do you see the other pentacle over his head, though? It's almost like a halo or a crown. That's some achievement of his, some gift, a special ability maybe. But he's hoarding it, keeping it to himself. He should share it, use it, not hide it away. He needs to be more like the Fool. He needs to just go for it and think that's what he needs to do. Now, how would you like to start going for it like the Fool? By buying a nice big expensive bag of healing crystals I scooped out of my fish tank this morning. Josette didn't actually say the thing about the healing crystals from the fish tank, but I wouldn't have been surprised if she did. Her advice boiled down to this. Turn off your brain, let your emotions take over. Don't worry about what you know or don't know. Just focus on what you want. It's the starting point of every con. Clearly, she thought I turned my brain off a long, long time ago. I respected the woman's technique, though. Forget good and very good. She was masterful. Cold reading will get you so far. Then you have to start asking leading questions and throwing out vague comments. The mark can interpret however they want. You have to fish. But not Josette. Somehow she pegged me as a product of Mommy Dearest without a single word about it from me. I wondered if she knew who I was. I faked my way through some follow-up questions, but Josette was admirably patient. She didn't try to tap me for more cash. She was working Biddle style. A fool and his money are soon parted, he liked to say. So why rush unless someone else is trying to part the fool from it first? Eventually, Josette went to the front of the store and opened the door again. So I said, your main competitor's gone, huh? I pointed at the White Magic 5 and dime. There are still plenty of readers around Bardacci and Sedona, Josette said. So I've seen, but the person running that place across the street must not have been one of your better ones. If they could really tell the future, they'd still be in business. I mean, you all ought to be millionaires, right? Just gaze into your crystal ball until you see tomorrow's Wall Street Journal, then call your stockbroker and wait for the dividends to roll in. Josette smiled at the joke. I'm sure she heard a million times too many. I don't believe readers see the future, she said. I believe they see the possible. I nodded as if this made sense. So, what happened to the 5 and dime's owner anyway? Josette's smile wavered. I'm not really sure. Nice dodge. The Bardacci Tourism Bureau would be pleased. I thanked Josette for the reading. It had been so insightful. Really, it had. And left. The reading had provided some insights into my mother. No wonder she opened the White Magic 5 and dime. 25 tax-free bucks for a sprinkling of fairyland pixie dust bullshit. It was way too easy. Only she wouldn't have stopped there. Not Mom. All that trust being placed in her, all that pain and confusion being shared, it would add up to one thing for her, leverage. And she would have to use it to push until someone finally pushed back. Mom hadn't just met her death over in that store. She invited it in, done business with it in there, tried to cheat it in there. And if I give a rat's ass about that, I'd go in there too. But did I? Should I? I found myself standing on the sidewalk again, staring at the White Magic 5 and dime across the street, wondering why I would avenge a woman I've never even forgiven. I was still wondering, even as I stepped off the curb and started toward the store. And that brings me to the conclusion of the first part. Let me know what you